most people watching this are solely invested in ILUS, and you've actually talked a little bit about this just a bit ago. For those that are having trouble comprehending the importance of Quality International, Hyperion, ERT, Replay Solutions, and its effect on the valuation of ILUS, can you just simply explain the relation and why one should be comfortable with solely being an ILUS investor as compared to diversifying into others? And, I could speak from, like, personally speaking, I'm solely an ILUS investor. So at this point, so could you clarify that for some of the people out there?
Yeah, I think there's a fairly short answer, and there's probably a more comprehensive answer. I don't know how much time you have, Eric.
I got time.
So I think my question would be, and it's not for you to necessarily answer, but for people listening to answer in their minds, what is ILUS? What is ILUS to you? What is ILUS to them? We say it's a public mergers and acquisitions company that's focused on acquiring and growing companies in specific sectors, right? So what are those? Those are public safety. That's how we started. Those are industrials, renewables, and defense. So again, back to that slide from earlier. Now, defense kind of aligns with public safety. It's debatable. Many will say it aligns. I believe it sits under the public safety umbrella. But again, we've got 4 subsidiaries currently, right? So that's hopefully not in too convoluted terms. That is ILUS, right? It's a public mergers and acquisitions company focused on these 4 sectors. Now, based on the definition of what it is and what we do, or we'd like to think it's quite clear, you would potentially get involved if you like 1 or 2 or all of the things that the subsidiaries are doing, or various pieces of their respective technology in terms of their focus, in terms of their performance, whatever really grabs your attention. So when I look at investing in a business or businesses, and I look at their business plan, I look at their management, I look at their performance, I look at, very importantly, their unique selling points against their competitors, if they have any, and their reliability against their competitors and things like that. So people may like one particular subsidiary of ILUS, or they might like the whole conglomerate plan. I would potentially find both exciting, but some people will really are invested in ILUS because of the firefighting technology, for example. And I understand that's really, my passion. I think I've made that quite clear. So, or the public safety and defense and all of that, that's really the side that really drives me as a person. But I see the whole picture. I love the whole picture, what we're trying to do from a conglomerate perspective and what we are doing. And then there's others who might not like anything about ILUS. They might like to invest in a new wonder drug that's going to get FDA approval, or a promising blockchain business, or maybe just a defense business that's focused solely on defense. And they prefer that it's focused on one area or one piece of technology. And I don't know, Eric, some might be even interested in investing in shells, which are contemplating a merger for eternity, So,
Yeah.
Look, each to their own, right? That's not my problem. All we do is say, this is our company, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done, this is what we plan to do. We believe it's a great business. We believe our financials support our belief, and jump on board if you agree. So regardless, we keep pushing forward with the growth of the business. So when it comes to that growth, in our view, multiple subsidiaries is the optimal way to increase growth. So it increases the momentum of ILUS itself, and each subsidiary is important in the greater scheme of things. So whether it's life safety, environmental sustainability, protecting war fighters, energy utilities, these are all areas that impact our lives every single day. So even if most people aren't aware of it, right? And that's why we've handpicked these subsidiaries to focus on. Again, I think I've taken the longer route to answer this question, but I'm trying to give people the bigger picture here. So other than the importance of what each subsidiary stand for, there's the other important aspect that each of their respective financials are consolidated by ILUS. So every step forward or backward made by a subsidiary, it affects ILUS, right? So as their revenue, their profitability, their balance sheet grows, ILUS grows, and the valuation of ILUS increases. We've, of course, stated that many times, right? So let me just dig into that again in more detail. You said you have some time. So it's important to understand that each subsidiary functions on its own. So, because I get that people will say, well, maybe ILUS is spread too thin and things like that. And of course, we're not perfect. I can understand that. But really, it's not Nick and me running around, running all of the subsidiaries all of the time, all at once. If I'm working on a renewables acquisition today, then QI&D and ERT is still moving forward with its plans, right? And I don't think people necessarily understand that. They see Nick and myself as the face of the business, and they don't understand the strength of the team that we have behind us. You know, it's far more even than the people you see at the likes of the shareholders meeting. We are quite a thin team, I'll admit, because we're being conservative in terms of costs, certainly, but we certainly have very, very strong people behind us. And then, for example, let's just say Georgia Fire, for example, has a clear directive and they implement that on a day-to-day basis. Firebug has a clear directive and they carry on with it. And management ourselves, we're busy with Form 10s, 10Ks, FINRA, Quality International. The wheels keep turning in other areas of the business because that's how it's been designed to work and that's how it works. So, yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd add it in. I get that people question why so many different subsidiaries. So let me just talk quickly about each of the subsidiaries, right? Just to recap, there might be people that are new to ILUS. I think some people have gotten out. There will be new people getting in and things like that. So, for people listening, maybe for the first time or for those who may have forgotten. So ERT is firefighting, life safety. It's emergency response technology. So it's disruptive firefighting technology. It's rapid response vehicles. It's firefighting equipment. It's fire safety technology, vehicle conversions, etc. So every day, and this is important, regardless if the talk of the town is QI&D, for example, which is quite prominent at the moment, there are 6 ERT companies doing their thing every single day. If I'm sitting here going on about QI&D, ERT has 6 companies doing their thing today. Right now, well, it's late in Dubai, but in the US, Georgia Fire and Bullhead are doing their thing. And there's other companies tomorrow morning when you guys are still sleeping that will be doing their thing in Dubai. And so on and so forth, right? So ERT's revenue has grown in 2022. We actually will have some of those figures in the revised or the amended Form 10. I actually think it will be in our 10K as well. I'm not sure. Don't take that as golden, but certainly in one of those documents, those figures are going in. So people will actually be able to see it has grown in 2022 over 2021. And we're also working on something pretty significant for it in the US. So it's a subsidiary also that can keep its momentum through a recession. As I think I've alluded to, we're readying ERT, maximizing its valuation so that it potentially can uplist. Now, we could actually take it to a big board fairly soon through various means, but we didn't want to be raising funds to complete deals in an uplist. It's one of the main reasons the small fish get really hammered on the likes of NASDAQ or New York. So again, just to clarify, and let me just say this about Firebug, because I get quite a few emails about this. Firebug is a part of ERT. Many people think that because Firebug is not active in the US, that it's not active, right? Firebug products have been sold actively since late 2014. I know this because I sold the first nozzles ever, and it continued from there, right? So it didn't just start in 2021 when ILUS got going, and it continues today with product sales. So nozzles, mongooses, floating pumps, skid units, E-Raptors in India, some other markets, Middle East, North, West, East Africa, sales to the United Nations, things like that have really continued. Some parts of Europe and Asia. Look, granted, not as much exactly as we want, and we do want to expand it more, and we do want to do that with urgency. We mentioned at our shareholders meeting that it's an important focus for this year. And we are planning to expand Firebug into the US this year. We understand that shareholders want to see it on their shores. And part of that expansion plan is partly through an acquisition. We're actually, in the next few weeks, moving some aspects of Firebug's manufacturing across to the US. So, but a sale is a sale, Eric. So regardless of whether it takes place in India or the US, of course, we're very keen to pick things up in the US market. But I think shareholders also need to realize that Firebug goes on, right? That's really the point I want to make. What certainly needs to improve, though, is our marketing for the visibility of shareholders. I get that. And it's a challenge for us because we need to add to our marketing team. And that's really a cost versus capability issue. We're working on solving it. We've got an in-house marketing team of 3, but they're really working across all the businesses. So we really need a CMO to drive that forward. It currently relies a lot on me. So I'm probably shaming myself in saying that, but it really does. It's just the technical aspects of the role specifically when it comes to Firebug that we always seem to fall flat on it. I know it, Nick knows it, Kyome and other people in the business know it very, very well. But it's either Nick or myself, or it's a bunch of engineers. It's kind of we're doing the best we can, but we're well aware that we need to improve that visibility. So again, to the point, we're working hard within the current ERT businesses. We're negotiating a fairly large US acquisition, all of which is part of Reading ERT, as I mentioned, because after QIND uplists, we want it to be far further along than it is now. We might decide to work on uplisting all of ILUS after QIND, or to do ERT, or even Hyperion or Replay, for example. But the point is that ERT needs to be ready with significant technology, with manufacturing capability, with revenues, with profitability, regardless of whether it uplists or goes up with ILUS itself. So I did say that the investment banks love ERT, but we jointly felt that it was the opportune time for QIND, and ERT should be considered at a later stage and geared up as much as possible in the meantime. Gosh, that's just ERT. So QIND is an industrial manufacturing focused company. I think, as hopefully people will know, it's operating in a high growth, high demand sector because it's manufacturing. We also have a lot of experience in scaling that type of business. So that's why we took the opportunity to expand into it, right? Other than the revenue in the balance sheet, which is already added to ILUS because of QIND, it's got massive growth potential this year. We've spoken about order books and things like that. So, we also think that business, even I think Nick mentioned in his video that business would carry itself through a recession just on the back of its order books. And again, we can't say it enough. The moves made by QIND benefit ILUS. We said them many times, but it also allows us to negotiate larger deals on the ERT side of the business. So, and also in Replay and Hyperion, because in all of those other subsidiaries, we are working on deals. It's important that we get some for each subsidiary, right? Or more for each subsidiary. So it's very synergistic and complementary in that respect. And that's really not even getting into the manufacturing synergies and things like that. Otherwise, I know probably some people are saying it will be forever at this rate, JP. Replay Solutions is our renewable sector subsidiary. Hyperion Defense Solutions, our defense sector subsidiary. They're also important. Each of those subsidiaries continue to operate under their own management, right? We've got Shane running Replay. We've got Tim and Chris, who were at our annual shareholders meeting, running Hyperion. I said runs under their management and oversight. We've also got Alex in Serbia that's involved with Replay. Again, their success is ILUS success, right? So we've said that both of those subsidiaries are working on deals, whether it's acquisitions, rights to intellectual property, exclusive distributorships. So like QIND, each of the other ILUS subsidiaries could be their own OTC company, one day, or they could probably even function as their own OTC company right now, right? If I look at some of the others that are out there, but they all report back to and are consolidated back to ILUS. So that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but hopefully, that kind of people can kind of pick various pieces of that and hopefully take what's important to them.